Hello, Phelan Crandall here, and I'm recording this video to share the reason why most business programs don't work for the majority of the people who take them. So the type of business programs I'm talking about are like the how-to, like how to get more clients, how to make more money, how to create a successful business. And I personally have been in the transformational business space for 15 years now. I've taken a lot of programs. Some of them worked really, really awesome, and some of them not so much. And I watched as a lot of people invested a ton of money to try and grow their business and not ever see results. So I've seen a wide range of experiences and had a wide range myself. Now, this video, I had this flash of insight one morning when I woke up, and I knew I wanted to record this video for you because it pulls together in a very simple, clear way why you might not have had the results you expected from taking different business programs and what's really going on there. I know it can be mind-boggling and really frustrating, especially after investing lots of money. So I want to help illuminate what is actually going on in a lot of cases. So just reflect to yourself, how many business programs have you taken to grow your business, to attract more clients, to make more money? Just to get a sense of the experience you've had doing this. And how many of them did you apply and they worked well for you? Now, I know it could be one of two cases. Lots of, you had some great success or not so much success. If you did have some great success, I am curious if, when you look at what you've done to create success, how do you feel about all the actions that are required in order for you to keep that success up? So I'm just asking these questions to get a sense of your experience with this so we can dive in from there. The reality is, and this is well known in the industry, the reality is the vast majority of those who take business programs do not see great results or even any results. Like, some people create minimal results, but the vast majority don't create that great success story that we often see. And for me, I realized a long time ago, I've been doing work with clients around inner game for a lot of years. So I thought, oh, the problem is inner game. And that's what I've been helping people with for a lot of years. And that does create a profound shift. Yet, what I did see in the last few years is that your inner game can be totally solid. There's nothing really in the way of success being created and still not create the results you want. Or maybe there's a ceiling there and it has nothing to do with inner game either. So what I found and really uncovered the last few years myself is that there is something deeper going on as to why it works for some, not for others. And I have been a great success story of some of my business mentors. And even still, because of the same reason I'm going to share in this video, the success that I created had an expiry date on it, had a ceiling on it that I couldn't surpass. In both cases, whether you've created a lot of success or you haven't to create a lot of success, the reason is similar. The deeper reason is similar. I'm going to share that reason in a moment. And in order to help really get what this is all about, I'm going to take a look at it from two different perspectives. So the first perspective, we're going to look at more of the micro perspective. So we're going to zoom in to what goes on when someone takes a business mentor's course. So in order to do this, I'm going to share with you this extremely simplified visual that helps understand how clients come into business. And we'll dive into how business programs are structured now and what the problem is in a moment. So you've likely had this experience. I know I did at some point in my business. I realized, okay, I have these amazing gifts and this amazing transformation that I want to share with people, share with my clients. So I'm over here, and then my ideal clients are out there. I know they're out there, but how do they find me? How do they get to me? That's the question that hopefully I imagine you've come across, and likely that's the reason why you invested to grow your business, is to have that solved. Here's the people, and here I am with this contribution I can make. So the diagram that I have illustrates that. So I've made a nice little stickman drawing for you. So here is you, the transformation you have to provide, what you have to give over here. And here are your people, the potential clients that you have to serve. And what I'm talking about here is this pathway. what I call a profit pathway or client attraction pathway. What we're talking about here is how do people go from out here into your world where they get to experience your magic, your transformation, and have their lives transform. So there's 4 steps on this profit pathway, and I love this. It took a lot of iterations to get to this very simplified drawing, because I wanted it to be so simple that it's just really understandable, and it can give a lot of visibility to what goes on in your business. Okay, so the first part of I'm going to go through this briefly, and then we're going to come back to why the business programs often don't work for most people. Okay, so the first part of this is reach. So reach is basically the first point of contact with your potential clients, and that's why I put this little sign here. There's some type of point of contact. Maybe it's an email, maybe it's a Facebook ad. There's some type of point of contact where they meet you, a speaking engagement, the list goes on. So there's a point of contact where they meet you. That's a reach. That's the first piece. And they somehow get a sense, oh, maybe this person could help me. So that's the first step in the profit pathway. The second is marketing. So after this, in order to move towards you, there's some type of marketing that goes on. And my definition of marketing, and for the purposes of this and the simplicity of this is where your potential clients get to know you. They experience some of what you've got, and they get a sense of, are you their person or not? And they receive some benefit from your work, even if it's likely it's free or low cost. And then at some point, there's a sales process. And here's where you invite your potential clients into your world. You invite them to receive the transformation that you have to give. And that leaves us off with the fourth and final, which is fulfillment. You fulfill on that. This is where the transformation happens. Okay, so that's the profit pathway. Super simple, but helpful. There's no way clients can get in without going through some type of process like this. Okay, so I wanted to share that with you to give us the big picture so we're all on the same page, and also just seeing that diagram, it's helpful in business, I've found. Okay, so what happens, so let's get back to the reason why business programs don't work for the majority of the people who take them. What happens is, in most cases, a business mentor has created success with a specific profit pathway that they have built. Like, for example, they created epic success using let's give it a real example here, Facebook ads and a webinar, which helped get to know them, and an offer with a sales page, and then an online program. So that's an example. The mentor created a lot of success using this particular profit pathway that they created. And they received this inspiration or this idea, hey, this worked really well for me. I want others to experience some of the same success that I'm experiencing. Therefore, I'll teach other people how to create success and get clients using what I've learned. So that's the second thing that happens is, hey, maybe I can help others. And the third is then what they do, and this is really common. It's not common that it's not this way. This is the most common thing in general. So what happens is they then teach all the intricate details of this profit pathway that has worked really epically for them, that has helped them create a lot of success. Okay? So, and most of them are doing this with well-meaning intention. They want to help. They want you to have clients. Nothing wrong in a lot of cases there. And yeah, so lots of clients, they then attract lots of clients because they have a profit pathway that works really well. They attract lots of clients, and then only a few of those ever create success. So this is the common scenario. A few of them ever create the similar results that this mentor has created. Some for sure do, but majority don't. So why is this? And this has to do with the biggest reason that I'm talking about here in this video, and that has to do with alignment. Alignment, I'm going to explain what I mean here. Is like, alignment to me means being in alignment with who you are, with your nature, with who you are as an individual, with your strengths, with your natural gifts, with your natural talents. That's the biggest thing that I'm talking about in this case here. So being in alignment with who you are. So those who create success from a business mentors program are often highly in alignment, meaning they have a fairly similar nature, fairly similar gifts. that they're capable of doing all the things that the mentor did in order to create success. Those are typically the ones who create success. So let's talk about this though. What are the chances of being fully aligned, fully in alignment with, being similar to, having your gifts and your nature be similar to one particular profit pathway, right? So the business mentor, it's typically one form of reach, maybe a couple, typically one standard form of marketing, typically one sales process, and maybe a couple options for how they fulfill or how they teach you to fulfill. So this is a fairly specific profit pathway. So what are the chances that this specific profit pathway is going to be right for you? Is going to be something that you will love to do, that you're going to take all the actions that need to be taken in order to create success? What are the chances of that? It's actually really low. So why is that? So again, there's often these limited numbers. So 1 to 2 forms of reach. What if you don't like that form of reach? For me and Facebook ads typically don't get along, so that's just important to know. If I took a program on building my business through Facebook ads, I don't know that they would work. So that's what we're talking about. One specific way for each, maybe a couple when it comes to fulfillment or when it comes to reach. Yet the reality is, and this is something that I hope you really take, and you've likely already seen, but really take this in, that often business mentors are teaching one profit pathway. Yet how many forms of reach are there? And when it comes to reach, there are so many forms of reach. There are endless ways to connect with potential clients. There are really infinite ways to market. Like, marketing is limited by your creativity. There really are infinite ways to market. Sales, there's definitely a bunch of ways to sell. There's not only one way to sell. And there are infinite ways to structure the fulfillment and how the transformation gets delivered. Okay, so that's really the reality here. So thinking of this, so I want to give an example here. So I've got my notes in front of me. So it's no surprise, like when you think of the amount of possibilities there are and the fact that it's boiled down to one specific profit pathway, it's not a surprise that not a lot of people create success with it. And that's just the reality. So I know for myself, I took a program once, and this is the crazy part too, that a little bit drives me, it drives me crazy, is often the marketing for a business program is like, make lots of money, have tons of clients, get lots of clients. And they don't really talk about how you're going to do that, which is kind of a problem because you don't know if you're in alignment with their process or not in most cases. So I highly recommend asking tons of questions to know if it's going to be right for you, whether they like it or not. Ask lots of questions. But yeah, I took one program. It's like, it sounded good and it sounded like it could be in alignment, but it turned out that it was highly data driven. It was like heavy on data and analysis and details. Now, I'm an engineer. I can do details, but that's not the exciting place where I want to live. If my marketing and reach depends on me looking at details a lot, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to take the time to do that. Does that make sense? And you probably have some examples yourself. And there was another program that I took that I used to create a multi six figure business, a multi six figure profit pathway. Okay, so using the profit pathway that I learned. Now, most of it I was mostly in alignment. The gifts that I had were fairly in alignment with this particular profit pathway. Yet I knew from the start that some things were off. Some things just didn't feel right, and they weren't minor. So this program that I took and profit pathway that I implemented required me to do the same speaking engagement over and over. Now, I'm someone who's super creative and I get bored easily. So that's not a fit. So that's what I mean by, is it in alignment or not? And also the fulfillment side, I didn't have to, but I followed things to a T, and I ended up doing the same 3-day event over and over and over, which again, I like fresh and new. So this wasn't really ideal. And I knew that from the start. So these pieces were off, but I was able to create success with it because the rest felt really aligned. And I know with that, I was able to kind of like push through and just do what it took to create success. And I was able to sustain that for 6 years. Eventually I hit a wall. And the year that I hit a wall, and this is what can happen when things are not quite in alignment, but mostly, when I hit a wall, it was at the end of a year that was an awesome year. I started off that year, changed a whole bunch of content in the 3-day event. And so I was really inspired, and it was such a blast, and it was awesome. And it was my highest sales to date by the end of that year. But when I got to the end of that year, I just felt so exhausted at the thought of doing it all over again. So that was a complete and total ceiling, and I ended up having to blow up that profit pathway, blow up the whole approach that I had to business at that time, and really find something that worked. So think for a moment about your profit pathways. Consider how aligned what you're doing is right now. I knew I had a subtle sense. Maybe you have a subtle sense. Hey, this isn't quite in alignment with me. So that's the first part of alignment, is looking on the micro scale. This is like the details of how clients come to you, what I'm considering the micro scale. That's the first part of alignment. There is a second part of alignment, and it is a huge one, and it is not talked about in the transformation space, which also drives me crazy, but that's why I'm talking about it. The second one has to do with fulfillment. So fulfillment here, like the way you structure what you do with your clients when you engage with them, this is a big one. Most business programs don't touch on this. Most business mentors are teaching the ways they've done it. If they have built their business through live events, they teach, hey, sell a live event. If they teach through a group program that's virtual, then they often teach, hey, do a group program that's virtual. So this is what's really common. So bottom line is, fulfillment isn't an area that is touched on a lot. It's not really delved into very deeply. And most business programs see this part here as, how to structure a program? How do you structure a program? Or what offerings do you have? So you look at the offerings. Basically, they look from a lens, like a very focused lens of, what are you going to do with your clients? What's the program going to look like? What's the offer going to look like? So the transformational space especially is missing something really big. So again, we're zooming out to the macro here. So the macro vision, the macro picture of business is your business model. Your business model is the big picture of your business. It includes a few things, including the structures that create the transformation for your clients. Like, what are the structures? What do they look like? Number two, how is it monetized? How does the money come in? Most people think you monetize by selling the program, and that's it. There's actually tons of ways to monetize that are not discussed. So there's a lot of different ways you can monetize. And in the standard real business world, this is what you look at when you create a business. You create a model around it. But that's not often what happens in the transformation space. Unfortunately, they start off in the micro land because they want to try and make money, and they often don't look at the big picture. They don't look at the macro, and at a huge expense. So talking about the business models here, I'm going to give an example. So think of a cab company versus Uber. Okay, same deliverable really, but very different structure for how that deliverable is put out into the world and offered. Blockbuster versus Netflix, same deliverable, you're watching a movie, yet very different model, very different structure, very different monetization even. Amazon versus a department store, same product, but very different structure to the organization, to the business. Can you see what I'm talking about here? So when we think of a transformation, it might be coaching that you do, or a specific healing modality. And it might be similar to someone else, but there's endless ways to structure the big picture of your business. There's endless different business models that could bring that about. Make sense? You're with me? Okay. So in the transformation space, looking at the big picture is so important. It is in all business, but I personally feel in the transformation space, it's even more important to look at your business model, to really consciously, intentionally look at this and make sure the big picture is clear. Because if you don't, your business is likely going to be out of alignment with two very important things. So the first thing is your nature. If you don't zoom out and look at the big picture and consciously decide what your business model is, it can easily not be in alignment with your nature. What do I mean by your nature? Your natural gifts, what comes easy to you, what feels like breathing to you, that's your nature. If the big picture on how you deliver transformation is not in alignment with your nature, what happens is work is exhausting. Taking the steps that you need to take to grow your business is exhausting. Working with your clients is not as inspiring as it could be. It doesn't feel as aliveness giving. There's my word. It doesn't feel as alive as it could feel, or inspiring or energizing. An example of this was because I did this 3-day event over and over, that was not my ideal fulfillment structure. I was often bored at my own event, and I'm a super passionate person. It made no sense. It was because that structure in my model was not a match. That wasn't a right structure. That wasn't the right model for me, doing the same thing over and over. Now, if your business model's out of alignment with your nature, there's also not, because it doesn't feel good, the bottom line is it doesn't feel as good as it should. And it can be really subtle. It doesn't have to be that it feels bad. You're doing what you love, so obviously it's going to feel really good and to some degree. Yet, if it doesn't quite feel right, I know from experience, you can see if this lands for you, it's not easy to do all the things that need to happen and to take all the actions required to create success and to send people to it. So I really hit that wall that one year because I was bored of doing my own event. I would find ways, like I'm not saying I was bored at all of them. I'd find ways to get excited, but that's just not right, So because of that, I wasn't going out there and like doing all the million things required to attract more people to it. Make sense? So there's a ceiling that can be built in if your business model doesn't match your nature. So that's the first thing that must be in alignment with your business model must be in alignment with, which is your nature. The second, and this is super important, as I'm sure you're going to agree with me, or I imagine you will, it's so important to have your business model in alignment with your calling. There's a reason you created your business in the first place. There's a reason why your business was birthed. Likely it was to fulfill some sort of mission or purpose that you have, this calling that you have, and what you're uniquely here to do. And not only that, the scale to which you're here to do it. Like, everyone is different, everyone's unique, and we're all here to play at different levels depending on our uniqueness and depending on the calling we have. You are the only one in charge of your business, and whether it fulfills your calling, whether it's a match to your nature and it's natural for you to grow, and whether it has the highest chances of success or not. Or you're also in charge of whether your entire experience of business feels like swimming upstream, against your nature, exhausting and depleting, leaving you with that feeling that there's more that you're here to be doing in the world, but you're not doing it. That feeling that there's a greater calling than what you're able to express in this particular profit pathway, in this particular business. So what I've learned is that your business model, if you think about how unique you are compared to everyone else everyone is uniquely different, right? Nobody's the same. So what I've learned is that your business model should be as unique as you are, right? Doesn't that make sense? As unique as you are, so that it feels good. And your business model should fulfill your calling. It should allow you to fully give what you've got to give to this world. You started your business to share your gifts, very likely, is one of the reasons. So you want the structure to actually allow you to share all of those gifts. Otherwise, you're out of alignment and it's not going to feel right and it's not going to be good. So take a moment to reflect for right now. just, I'll ask you a couple questions and I'll give you a resource to help you even further with clarifying this. Right now, just from what you can think of, does your business match your nature, your natural preferences, your gifts, what you're really, really good at, and is what's really easy for you, or not? And is it really in alignment, or maybe there's something slightly off? Like it doesn't feel totally natural and you don't feel totally inspired when you wake up in the morning and start your workday. And next question, does my business express my fullest calling? And this is not usually a logical thing, it's an intuitive sense. Do you intuitively sense that your fullest expression of your calling is happening in your business, is being expressed through your business as it is today? Or is there more? Is there more that you're here to express and maybe you haven't even pinpointed yet? You just have a sense that it's there. If your business feels off or feels like it's not a match to you, we would love to help you get to the bottom of what's going on. So I've talked about this big picture here. There's also what are the subtleties of your situation. So we would love to help you get to the bottom of what's going on. By we, I mean my partner Michaela and I. Michaela came along and she had all this wisdom and knowledge about business models, and she was the one who helped me see it could be different. And that was a few years ago. And for the last couple of years, we've been helping people birth and create their own custom business models. So, but by we, I mean Michaela and I would love to help you out. This is one of our greatest passions. So there's a couple ways to do that. So number one is my partner Michaela, she created a quiz, a short quiz to help you assess if your current business model is in alignment or not. Is it right for you or not? So that's what I highly recommend doing. So there's a button below this page. If you click on that button, you'll be taken to the quiz. And it's a super short quiz. So go ahead and take that. That's going to give you more insight. Or you can go to scalenaturally.com/quiz, or just click the button below this video. So that's the first thing. The second is you can jump on the phone with Michaela and I for a quick call to get a sense of what might be off in your model, what might be missing, and more importantly, why specifically for you in your case. Why is that thing missing? So you can have the awareness to not keep going down that road and not be missing that in your model. Okay, so even if you want to jump on the phone with us, the best thing to do is to do the quiz first, because then we all get a sense of where you're at and you have a score and you understand how aligned your business model is. So again, click on the button below this video. That'll be the first step. Take the quiz, and then there'll be an opportunity for you to connect with us for a quick call. So again, click the button below this video to do that. So that's it for this video. I'm super excited to share this with you because it's simple, it's clear, it explains why so many business programs don't work. They don't recognize that you are unique. They don't recognize that creativity is required in business. I created a system to understand your uniqueness called natural design, and what I know to be true is that every single person is unique. I haven't found two people that are the same. I just haven't. I've analyzed people for what makes them unique for over 20 years. So what are the chances a business could be unique? And not only that, being in the business world, it's more creative, it's more entrepreneurial. We're here to bring new gifts to the world, new expressions to the world, so there should be an element of creativity in it. And unfortunately, especially in the how-to world, this is lacking. It's not, most business programs don't acknowledge your uniqueness, they don't take it into account, they don't look at the business model. So what happens is so many people end up out of alignment, and they can't actually take the steps that are in front of them that are being laid out for them, A, B, C, D. They can't take the steps because they don't feel right. And they can't ignore that sense. I was able to ignore that sense of the subtleties that felt off in my business for quite a while, but eventually it caught up to me. And some people can't even do that. If it feels not right, they can't do it. So yeah, this is the big picture of why, and I hope this has given you a lot of insight into why some things might not have been working. And yes, I invite you to take a look at the quiz, do the short quiz, and find out if your business structure is in alignment with you or not. And that will give you some sense. And then after that, again, you'll be invited there'll be an opportunity to connect with us by phone to dig in even deeper to your specific business, because we get that you are unique and we get that. So we'd love to connect with you. So that's it for now. If you find that this video is helpful, please share it with someone you know who's struggling with the same thing. I created this video to shine a light on what's going on. So definitely share it with those who you know who are suffering from the same thing. So that's it for now. I'll see you soon. Take care.